study,
and play come together on a Windows 11 PC.
And for a limited time, college students get
the best of both worlds.
Get the Unreal College Deal. Everything you need to study and play with select Windows 11 PCs. Eligible students get a year of Microsoft 365 Premium and a year of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with a custom color Xbox wireless controller. Learn more at windows.com/student offer. While supplies last. Ends June 30th. Terms at aka.ms/collegepc.
Whether you're watching your favorite NBA team at the arena, the bar, or hanging at home, grab an ice-cold Michelob Ultra and enjoy every moment of the NBA season. Stock up today and watch your team drop buckets with a bucket full of ice-cold Ultra. Michelob Ultra. Superior light beer.
Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2026 Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra. Registered light beer, St. Louis, Missouri. Must be 21 plus to order alcohol. Alcohol available only in select markets.
LinkedIn Hiring Pro can't predict the future, but it can help you feel confident about future hires. Because Hiring Pro combines real-time insights and candidate data from the LinkedIn network with the criteria you've set for your role to deliver you a list of top-fit candidates. Businesses who use LinkedIn are 24% less likely to reopen a role in the next 12 months. Hire right the first time with LinkedIn Hiring Pro. Post a free job today at linkedin.com/quality.
Hello there, Stanley Carr here. You know, I love collecting music and sports memorabilia. Want to know where you can find some? I'll tell you. Go to oldglory.com. This website features one-of-a-kind apparel from your favorite sports teams and musical artists. And I can help you get 15% off of all items. Use the code WWH135. Enjoy the episode.
Welcome to Wrestling with Heart, a podcast looking at pro wrestlers giving back to their community. Join me, Stanley Carr, as I interview wrestling's hottest names who use their platforms as entertainers to raise awareness and do community service.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Wrestling with Heart. This is the show where we talk with professional wrestlers and professional wrestling personalities about their lives in and outside of the ring, as well as doing acts of charity work, community service, volunteering, and spreading positivity. We're always about the positive vibes here on the show. Before I introduce my guest today, I want to take this time to promote our brand new book, which you can see right here on the screen. You can let's get a little bit closer here so you can get a little picture. Here we go. Champions for a Cause, Volume 1. It's our brand new book. It's a compilation of interviews with some of professional wrestling's legendary personalities. I'm talking about Mark Marrow, Jake the Snake Roberts, Tito Santana, Al Snow, and so many others. They're all there talking to me about their careers and giving back. And it's if you love what you hear currently, you're going to love Champions for a Cause. It's on Amazon for $15 in paperback. I am very pleased to welcome my guest today. He is WWE Hall of Famer Bushwhacker Luke. Welcome to Wrestling with Heart.
Whoa, g'day Stanley, and it's great to be on your show, Wrestling for Art. I'm looking forward to talking to all the fans or talking about my life's experience. Boy, and it's a bloody wild one. Anyhow, let's get into it, Stanley.
Definitely. So, were you always a big wrestling fan?
Never heard of professional wrestling. We never had television until 1969. And I never seen a photo of wrestling, no magazines in the stores, nothing. I didn't even know it existed.
Didn't know it existed. Well, were you always into athletics, sports, do anything?
Yeah, I played rugby. You know, that's New Zealand it's got three, in the national anthem, it's got three things: rugby, horse racing, and beer.
Okay. Well, let's talk about your time in rugby. Did you start at an early age?
Yes. I started about 6 years old playing rugby, you know. And then, I played it right through my life, right up to when I left school and different divisions. And then I played for the city that I was born in. And then I played the big rival in rugby, which is still South Africa versus New Zealand. And New Zealand's held the cup so many times, World Cup, but at the moment South Africa hold it. And I played in a curtain raiser. There's when a big overseas team comes to New Zealand, they have 3 matches: 11 o'clock, a 1 o'clock, and the main one at 3 o'clock. And I played the 11 o'clock match as a curtain raiser for when South Africa played New Zealand in one of the tests.
So when you're playing team sports, obviously it teaches you something about teamwork and discipline and competition. And so I am sure that helped prepare you for the world of pro wrestling.
Yeah, competition was a big thing, mate. Competition. And of course discipline too. If you didn't turn up, at school, if you didn't turn up for rugby practice, it was like missing a class. You were reprimanded and then had to do it double time. It was just like rugby. Now I was taught by priests and brothers, and it was a religion, mate.
Seemed like it was, because you constantly have to be invested in it, and you put your heart into it, and you really want to do well in it, get good in it. So you have this experience. At what point in your life did you first hear of pro wrestling?
Well, sure. I got to cut this down. We've only got a half an hour. Next door neighbour was a bodybuilder. He went in a bodybuilding contest for Mr. New Zealand in the capital city. The judge was a former Mr. New Zealand, 1950. And we're talking about 1961 now. And my neighbour came second in the contest, and the judge said to him afterwards, "Well, you want to make some money with that body?" And he said, "Yeah, how?" And he says, "Well, the judge said, Al Hodman said, come to this gym. We're there from 5 to 9, Mondays to Fridays." So my neighbor went in to the gym, and he found it was pro wrestling, and he started training there. 6 months later, he dragged me with him. Now I'm 175 wet. Now, 175 pound wet. That means I'm lucky to be that. Anyhow, I started going and pushing around with the junior heavyweights. Now, back then in 61, they all had, this is how their faces were. Their ears were cauliflowered and their noses were over like this, over to the side. Just like rugby players back in those days. They were, their faces, if they didn't wear headgear, their faces got effed up. Anyhow, I started pushing around in the gym, in the gym with the light heavyweights, and I went to one pro wrestling match in Wellington Town Hall, the capital town hall, which was my first match I ever seen. Now, I hadn't seen any wrestling magazines or anything yet. And I saw this speculation, how it went, and I enjoyed it. Anyhow, my neighbor started getting he ordered American wrestling magazines, and so we started getting the magazines of the 60s, early 60s, from the States. It was about 4 months later after that first match. He said, I got a match away from Wellington. It's 100 miles away in Palmerston North. I always remember this town, Palmerston North. And he said, do you want to come for a ride with me? And I said, yes. Now, at this time in pro wrestling, up to half time was amateur wrestling. Do you understand that? Up to intermission, it was amateur wrestling, and then it was pro. So we were in Palmerston North, and we're waiting. There's usually 3 matches after that: a junior heavyweight, a tag match, and then the main event. That was all the pro matches on the cards. Anyhow, I'm sitting in the dressing room and that with him before the pro start halftime, and Bubbles. Sorry, mate.
It's okay.
Someone's at the front. Someone's at the front door, and the dog's with me. It's a bit noisy. Anyhow, sorry for the break.
It's okay.
Anyhow, we're sitting there. One of the junior heavyweights arrive, and that we're waiting for the other one to arrive, and it's getting there. It's in the intermission now, and it's getting nearly bell time. And the promoter says to me, "What size boots are you?" I told him, and a pair of boots come flying over. And then he gave me a tank top, and I had a pair of jeans on. The bell rang, and next minute I'm on the ring. Now, don't ask me about the match. I can't remember a thing about the match. But I'd worked with a guy in the gym before, so we just did what we did in the gym. You know what I mean? And went through that. And that was European style wrestling at that time, in the early 60s. A lot of mat work. It wasn't standing up, no clotheslines. And by the way, the police were the commission. You couldn't stomp or you couldn't punch. You had to do the British over forearms or the uppercuts. The uppercuts and you could drop a leg or drop a knee, but you couldn't kick with a boot.
So you had to kind of work around your limitations a little bit of what you could and couldn't do.
Yes, yeah. And I told you it's all the mat wrestling.
Yeah.
Both down on the mat, rolling around with hammer locks, different moves on the mat, leg locks, and all of that. Anyhow, got through the match and that. Next minute, now I had long blonde hair, and my name was Ted Williams. All of a sudden, I'm gorgeous Teddy Williams. and I'd seen the magazines, and I saw this gorgeous George guy. That tells you it's going back in the era.
Yeah,
Gorgeous George.
Yeah.
And that. So I had a robe made like his, and I started dressing like him in the ring. And about a year later, I had a manager, or I had a woman manager. What do you call now? You don't call a woman a manager.
A valet.
A valet, yeah, a valet. And that, by now, I'm working every time they run wrestling now. And every time an overseas guy comes in, they run about 2 shows a week. You know what I mean? If an overseas guy comes in from England or Europe, he's here for 2 months. We run 2 shows a week.
Oh.
And maybe try to get 3 shows in if we could. But it's usually 2 shows. And so I'm on all the cards. I'm different. I had a lot of heat, believe it or not. A lot of heat. My manager was always getting attacked. But the valet I had, she would spray me with the perfume and all that sort of stuff, the gorgeous, good stuff. And I would reprimand her. She did something wrong. I would go to slap her and all that. So before even the match started, I had heat because I had a beautiful valets, but I was treating them like shit.
Someone was detected at your front door.
And that got a lot of heat.
Man.
Anyhow, that's the way I started, mate. And then 1965, an American promoter came to Australia and bought a whole American cast. The American promoter was Jim Barnett, who owned the name of WCW. When Jim Barnett came from the States to Australia, in 65 he bought a whole American cast. the wrestlers, the ring announcers, and the broadcasters. And he started bringing guys from New Zealand over to job for the Americans. Same as the Australian boys who worked in the clubs over in Australia. We all jobbed and made to build the Americans up, because he had American baby faces, and of course he had the big American heels. I mentioned to you the heels before, but Killer Kowalski, Brute Barnard, Skull Murphy, the Von Erichs, Fuji and Tanaka, a lot of guys. Buddy Austin, most of them are dead.
Yeah.
And of course, top baby faces. He had top baby faces. There was two that stood out. It was Murray Milano and Spirit Harion. They actually resided there, but they'd worked in the States. And one was an Italian and one was a Greek. And in Sydney and Melbourne, the two biggest cities, they were full of Greeks and Italians. And then Jim Barnett started running there, and it was a big success. He brought out the roller derby, and he did an angle with Killer Kowalski right off the note, right off the bat, and that bloody angle was wild, and the whole country saw it, and bang, WCW was on fire.
At what point did you meet your tag partner?
In '66, he was playing rugby still, mate. And '66, I didn't know that in '65 he started training, and then '66 he worked a couple of matches for another promotion, which was and promotion, and then he came over to us in '66, and at that time, a guy, John De Silva, who'd won a silver in the Empire Games as an amateur, had turned pro in England in the early '60s, and turned pro in England, and he came back to New Zealand and fucking bought out the promotion from the other promoter and started running six and 7 days a week.
Oh man!
So when Butch and me then, we were doing singles still. We were out in the mission. We would do a single match, and he'd do a single match, and then we'd come back in a tag match.
You and Butch were very popular in various different promotions. You guys wrestled on the New Zealand and Australian circuit as well as the Puerto Rico circuit, which then led to UWF in Memphis. Let's talk about working in those different places and any stories, fond memories you might have.
When we first come over here, mate, I'll just go quickly over the '60s. In the '60s, apart from working Australia, we worked Singapore, Penang, Bangkok, and Japan. We worked all the Eastern countries. And then '72, we decided to come to North America. We knew, and we're lucky. '68, Andre came to New Zealand. He was lean and mean, 350, 375, 7'1". And we wrestled him in handicap matches all around the country. Right, that's '68. '71, he came to North America to a promotion called Grand Prix in Montreal. They say that was the biggest promotion in the whole North America at the time. I'm talking about the States and everything.
What was it like working with Andre?
Oh, it was good. In those handicap matches, it was good. The spots we did to people today would go, but the spots then, people would stand up and go crazy. You know what I mean? We were the heels. And anyhow, when we come to the States, he came to this promotion in '71 called Grand Prix. It was owned by the Vachons, Morris, and Mad Dog. Morris is Mad Dog, and Butcher, Vachon, and and Edward Caponte, the Flying Frenchman. They owned the promotion. So he came over there, being a Frenchman himself, and then they bought us. So he talked to the promoters, and Morris and Butch have brought us over there in '72. Now, when Andre came there in '71, they were running one town. When we came there in '72, 9 months later, that promotion was running 3 towns a night.
It's crazy.
And the Rougeos were running in the same area, 1 town a night. So there's 4 towns a night getting run in Ontario and Quebec. Crazy.
Yeah, Canada.
Crazy.
Yeah, Canada definitely seems like they have so many different wrestling promotions out there, and it's chock full of wrestling history, as we know. So
At that time, Stanley, at that time though, there was only Stampede, and there was the West Coast one. Gene Kaninsky and another guy owned it. You heard of Gene Kaninsky, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, he was a world champion for a while. And another guy, I forget his name at the moment, but it was only 3. There may be some fucking hillbilly promotions that do 1 a month or 1 every 2 months, but there were the 3 promotions that were running 7 days a week. Anyhow, sorry.
Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off. You could finish.
No, where you go.
Well, you talk about working in Canada. Talk about Japan and what was that like? Because when I've talked to people about wrestling over there, they take the sport of wrestling very seriously. You got the passionate fans, and then you also have the they are very. You go to these events, very respectful, very polite, and they will cheer and clap whenever somebody does a move.
Yeah, when we went in the '60s, mate, it wasn't. Everyone wore black or grey suits and white shirts. It wasn't Americanized, and they would bow and you'd do wrestling matches, and all you would hear now and again was a big spot would go, oh, with a big move, you'd hear that. There was no cheering or clapping. They hadn't got into that yet. This was in the '60s, mate. You know, it was different. Oh, but it was always sold out. Always sold out. And they sat on the floor. No seats.
No seats.
No seats. All sat on the floor on mats. You know, traditional Japanese mats sat on the floor. And that was different then, back in the '60s then. And of course, as it went on in the '70s, we went over, and then in the '80s and '90s, of course, now by the '80s, late '80s, they were getting Americanized. You know, they're wearing Western clothes. You know what I mean? Instead of in the '60s, '70s, you know, the train station, they had the bullet train, and they'd all be on the station in dark suits and waiting for the train to come on a platform. You'd bow across to the next platform, and a whole row of Japanese people would bow to you. The boys used to keep doing it just for the rib and that, but the Japanese were serious. You know what I mean?
Well, I think it's a sign of respect, because when you go over there, I mean, they look at you, they want to treat you well, and they want to take care of you in a sense, because you're over there.
We knew it was a sign of respect, but the boys always wanted a rib. You know what I mean?
Right. And so you also had the chance to wrestle in Puerto Rico as well. That's another big wrestling territory. And again, it's another place where things kind of got crazy. They got wild. You had a lot of brawls. You had a lot of bloodshed. What was it like, your experience working there?
This was one big mistake. Can I just go back?
Yeah.
Go back about a year or 6 months?
Sure.
Before Puerto Rico?
Yeah.
Okay. We were working our first major territory full-time in the States. We worked Hawaii for 3 or 6 months, but we just kept our heads above water. Then we came to Oregon, and we worked for Don Owens, and that's Northwest Championship Wrestling, 7 days a week, and we worked against Piper and Mantell for 13 months straight. We had a run with 22 consecutive sellouts in the main arena in Portland. That Piper told me that later because he lived in Portland.
Yeah.
Anyhow, we got booked in one of the biggest territories in North America, NWA out of Charlotte. First weekend in, we won the Mid-Atlantic belts, the pacifiers. The main belts were Ray Stevens and Jimmy Snuka. They were the world champions, and we were the Mid-Atlantic champions. They called that the pacifier belt just to keep us happy. Anyhow, we didn't realize we're doing 2,500 miles a week to 3,000 miles a week in a car, and we're making X amount of dollars. Can't remember now, but maybe 1,500 to 2,000, right? Paying for hotels and on the road and eating and all that. And all of a sudden we get a call from Frenchie Martin, who had worked in New Zealand in the 60s and in the 70s before we went away in 1971. And he says, "Hey, we've got a spot down here for a tag team in Puerto Rico, and you only work 3 days a week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And you do about 200 miles." I gave Jim Crockett the notice, and I didn't know that you never gave Jim Crockett the notice. He gave you the notice and say, I'll bring you back in a year or bring you back in 2 years. No one ever gave him the notice. And we gave him the notice, and that was a bad thing. We didn't realize that we were on fucking on a satellite network, seen all over the country. I've not seen it so much from New York, from Baltimore up. TBS and TNT weren't in the packages in the early 80s. They didn't get in the television packages till mid to late 80s, TNT and WTBS. But we were seen all over, from Philadelphia down, we were seen all over the country. And we didn't know that. And we went to Puerto Rico, where we were making around 2,000 a week, but for 3 days. We worked twice a Sunday.
And the thing is like when you go to a country like Puerto Rico that loves something like professional wrestling, the fans go crazy when they see people they've watched for so many years. And when you're in their country, it's like, oh my gosh, it's a whole nother feeling because it opens up to a new audience.
Yeah, we were a blood and guts tag team. You know what I mean? By now, this is 80. We'd been doing cage matches and barbed wire matches and all that sort of stuff. And they were straight into the first night we're down there. We did a thing I still remember this. Carla said they'll be signing photos where the people buy their tickets. So they come in. I want you two to come in through the front door, split your face. He knew that we had a flag on the middle pole, but he could unscrew it in the middle. He says, unscrew it and come over and beat the hell out of me with the middle pole. Well, we beat the hell out of him, and there was blood all up the wall. He jigged himself so badly that there was blood squirting everywhere. Then we went to the and then we walked and went to the ring. And of course, we had security. We didn't know. We had heavy security. When we come for our match, his partner come to the ring, and Vader won. The guy that Brody had a little dealing with. You heard of him, Jose Gonzalez.
Mm-hmm.
The guy that killed Brody.
Mm.
And and Bruiser was a good friend of mine. His wife was a Kiwi, a New Zealander. So and because I'd worked in Texas. Anyhow, we went to the ring, and he came to the ring, and he said we told the guy the ring announcer says, ask the dressing room for a partner. He says, no, this is a personal vendetta. I'm going to do it by myself, because he wanted to be. In real life, it's a shoot, and Vader wanted to be the superstar. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And as a work, he'd work it, but in his mind, he wanted to work against the both of us. And show the people he could work against the both, and he did. But in the end of the match, we cut him off and started beating him up, and then in the arena from the back doors came an ambulance. Carlos Colon got out with a bat, came to the ring, and did the Spirit of 76? Bang, 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 and we got out of the ring. But even we only took a couple of shots each and got out of the ring. The people blocked us from getting to the dressing room. We had so much security to get us back to the dressing room. And that was our first night ever in Puerto Rico.
Gosh. Yeah, it's nuts because you're constantly having to deal with all these different factors around. You got the fans, you got the wrestlers, you got so many things up in the air. Things can go wrong at any time. I want to talk.
Stanley, over the time, the car we came in got turned over. We had to get police cars to take us out of the arenas, drive into the arenas and take us out. And then the cars got their windows knocked out and the tires slashed. I got sliced in my arm a couple of times with razor blades. They put razor blades in their hands and they rub it on you like that when you go into the ring. And, I went to court a couple of times and I had to have an English interpreter to do the talking for me, with the lawyer.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it was the riots. We had many riots. We had to wait for about an hour to get out of the arena afterwards. I came back there in '83 as the booker, and I booked the biggest show they ever had there. Abdullah and Carl. Abdullah was Carlos's biggest enemy there, but we did a hell of an angle where Carlos paid him off to be his partner because Brody and Hanson had broken his neck and he was out for nearly a year. And they came back and he got Abdullah as his partner for the match. We did 40,000. That was in '83. That was unheard of on the island there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You have one new message. Translating. Disney and Pixar's Hoppers is now available on Disney+.
You could say that again.
Critics are calling it Pixar's funniest movie ever and a wildly entertaining ride. Blizzard Potato. It's certified fresh and verified hot.
Now we party.
This is incredible!
Wow, I am clearing the rest of the day.
Disney and Pixar's Hoppers, now available on Disney+. Rated PG.
At what point did you guys go to WWE?
In '88.
Okay.
We were working for NWA, and we'd been working with Rock and Roll Express, and we just did an angle with Barry Windham and Lex Luger. And the week we did that angle, the Saturday, that was on television, I think on Wednesday. Saturday is when we got the call. We're in Columbus at the gym, and I went to the phone box to get my messages from my home. There's no cell phones then. And to get the messages off my phone at home. And there was a guy said, this is Pat, call me when you can. I didn't realize it was Pat Patterson. And I called him, and then he said, hang on. I still didn't know who it was, and then he handed me to another guy, and the other guy said, hey, Kiwis, I'd like you to come in. This is Vince McMahon. I'd like you to come in to work for this promotion. I've been sending tapes there since 1983.
And you got there, and you guys developed quite the routine. Come out, your entrance music hits, do your thing. When did the whole licking stuff come about? And
No, Vince, funny thing, he said, I want you to be baby faces. And Butch says to him, look at these mugs. How can you make these baby faces? And he said, look at the fucking mugs on my top baby faces. Look at Hulk. Look at Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Look at Popo. What's his name? Randy Savage. They haven't got the sweetest dummies. When you look at them, they haven't, have they?
And the thing is like, you see like the examples that they're giving you. You come out, fan favorites, cheered by the masses.
Yes, but to get there, we came in for 2 or 3 weeks and did every Wednesday or day, every week they flew us up. He put us on the payroll straight away because we left NWA again. We left Crockett for the second time. And that we came up and did vignettes, 2-minute movies, 3-minute movies, and that crazy ones. We were lucky at that time. Crocodile Dundee 2 was out, and we copied a lot of stints off that. Anyhow, we do that. Butch arrived home anyhow after on the road with NWA, and he said they've sent us the wrong contracts. They've got the Bushwhackers here. And I said, Butch, Vince wants to own us. That's our new names. He didn't realize that, they're never going to take the sheep herders. He wanted to make the money with us with merchandise. So, change the name, and he owns most of he owns most of the merchandise money. Only pays you a small percentage. And then we came out to that, and then we started putting the gimmick together. Now, when we were heels, when we were outside the ring, we'd always swing our arm up and go, whoa, yay, at the fans to scare them. Butch said, let's change this around and make us into baby faces, doing the whoa and yay, marching to the ring.
And it got over. It really did.
Yes, it got over big time. And then he started licking people's heads. I always put my hand on the head and licked the back of my hand. That got over. And then 2 years in, or a year in, Vince saw what the Maoris did, the Polynesian people in my country did. They rubbed noses. And he said, when you come to the ring and you do your rubbing of your head, can you rub noses? Now, the fans thought we were headbutting each other. They started coming up to us and fucking headbutting us. Fuck. I said to Vince straight away, we're not doing that fucking nose thing anymore. The fans are headbutting us. He laughed like hell. Yeah.
Well, you guys were champions everywhere you guys competed for. Why didn't they put the titles on you guys?
They never did. Now, the Brainbusters had the titles. We did a match with them on television, and it got DQ'd or something or other. We did it, and it was a semi-angle, but it wasn't a heavy angle. And we're starting to do weekly runs with them, the weekly run. The first week we were with them. At the end of the week, we did the following Monday, we did TV, and we worked against enhancement guys, and Butch is running to do the batting ram at the Sky. The Sky turns his head, and I hit his. The guy turns sideways, and my head hits his hip, and I hairline cracked 2 vertebrae in my neck. I hit it, and I went all dizzy in the head, and my ears were ringing. I went back to the dressing room, and I had X-rays, and the 2 of them were hairline cracks. So I was out for about 10 weeks or 2 months, and that while it healed, wearing a neck brace, and Butch was doing singles, and then I came back 10 weeks later, and we never got to go with the Brain Busters again. They had the belts, and they went with somebody else and dropped them to somebody else.
That's frustrating because you guys were an overact, very popular, especially with kids, and the powers that be unfortunately decided they didn't want to put you guys as the face of the tag division. That's hard.
No, but mate, we were a team that didn't need belts. Some people need belts. More straighter wrestlers need belts. You know what I mean, to get them over. But our character was over so strong.
Yeah, I mean, you guys were dominating the tag divisions in many different places, had a run in the WWE, had a run on the independents, and you guys still kept going. And then, unfortunately, your partner passes away a few years ago. That was just terrible news.
Now he came up to do. He came up, or the big time. The big thing was 215 when we got inducted into the Hall of Fame. That was big time. We were excited about that. And then the next time Butch came up from New Zealand was 223 and it was in LA. It was a straight shot, Auckland, New Zealand to LA. He arrived, and then on a Wednesday. Thursday night, we did a private signing in the room, and we did it on Facebook so everybody saw that Butch was in the country. And that Friday morning, we went to wake him up. He didn't come to. I had to get security to open the door. He was right next to my room. Open the door, and he was sucking for air. Called 911, and bang, to the hospital. The worst thing I didn't like about it, they carried him out through the lobby, and this is where the signing was at, and for WrestleCon, and you know how big WrestleCon is.
It's huge. It's massive.
It's huge, and that lobby was jammed, and they carried him right through all the people where they could have gone through the back entrance. I was very upset about that.
You just never know. Tomorrow is never guaranteed. You never know what life can bring, and it's just a devastating feeling to know that your friends could be gone.
He was more than a friend, mate. He was more than a brother. He'd been married 3 times. I'd been with him, had his 3 wife marriages together. I'd been with him much longer than the 3 marriages together.
Oh, man. Do you remember the last time you saw your partner?
I was an arm length from him when he took his last breath. I was next to the hospital bed. It was, let me just cut this short because it gets me sad.
Yeah.
Anyhow, they took him to the hospital. They sedated him straight away to keep his kidneys and lungs and all that healthy. And they said, Saturday night, we'll bring him to, and very slowly, and by Sunday morning, he'll be back to normal, right?
Mm-hmm.
They Sunday morning they went to bed. They called me. They said he didn't come to. He didn't come to. They says we've got to check him. They did another scan on him, and they said he's brain dead. And now this is the worst thing. His two daughters, who lived up in Whangarei, they lived, and his wife, his third wife, lived down. The kids were from his first wife, and his first wife lived in the area where his two daughters lived. Now the third wife lives in Wellington, 250 miles away. I had to call them both, and boy, that was the hardest thing in my life to tell them, because they never wanted him to come. They all told him not to come, but he loved the States. You know what I mean? He lived here for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
He lived here from 72 to 202. He went home in 202, and he went home because his daughters lived there and all that. His family was there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were able to come home, and they had grandchildren and all that. So he went home, and then he came up in 223, and that. So anyhow, the Sunday we did a Zoom. I think it's 7 o'clock for a 30-minute Zoom call. The kids, the two daughters, talked to him. He's out of it. You know what I mean? He's brain dead, but they talked to him on the phone on Zoom. They talked to him, and then it went to his wife, his third wife, talking to him, and then we cut the Zoom off, and then they unplugged him from all the wires, and he lasted an hour 10 minutes. He took his last breath an hour 10 minutes later.
Oh, man.
My chair was right against the side of the bed where he was.
Oh, man. That is hard. That is tough to deal with. So I am very sorry that happened. I know you guys were very close. You guys were partners. You guys were friends. You guys had a common bond, and I am sure that he would be proud of the legacy that you're carrying on, and his family's carrying on of the Bushwhackers.
Yeah, everyone says he come back to the country he loved and to the guy he loved. That's what they said.
Yeah.
We loved each other. We've been up to 1985. We shared the hotel room together all the time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Except some territories we didn't. But hotel room. We got apartments, but when we were on the road and that from town to town, we split the hotel room. We got two double beds. When you get just for one night everywhere, and that. So we've been together that long, and that.
We're a show that talks about charity work and volunteering and serving your community. Luke, I want to ask you if there's any causes out there that you're very passionate about and things that you've been able to do to help out in your community.
Well, when I started with WWF, Butch and me used to go to Make-A-Wish. Now, we go to them, and the kids have seen us on television. And when they saw us in person, we got a big smile out of them. Some of the parents told us they've never seen their kids smile like that for years and years and years. And that, laugh and smile. And that, because these kids were on death row. You know what I mean? The Make-A-Wish kids, they only had days to go. And that I used to leave that hospital crying all the time. Every time I went, I leave crying. Now, after that, every year I would take whatever the WWF sent me, I would send to Make-A-Wish. And then when I finished working for WWF full time, I still got them to send me stuff, older stuff that they never sold. And they sent me a box of stuff, and I would take it to St. Pete Make-A-Wish.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And Make-A-Wish is one of those organizations that really brings the wrestlers to the fans, the kids, and you're being able to have these conversations with them in their time of need, and when they're going through something and they're struggling and they want to meet their favorites. Make-A-Wish makes that all happen, and so you're being there, and you're there trying to provide the gesture of goodwill to be able to make memories for these people.
Yeah.
Were there any moments where you're spending with these kids, anyone in particular, any memories you have of spending time with a young child that was very heartwarming for you?
Well, yes. One kid had been having brain tumors on his brain, and there was a big scar on his head, and then there was another place where the wires and everything went into his skull. Another hole. He had so many keloids, you know what keloids, scars on his head where they cut it open, and then when it healed up, the scar grew like that above it. Oh, his head looked like Abdullah's head.
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, yes, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this kid, this is the one that the parent came outside and said, I've never seen my kid like that and so happy in his life. I've never seen this kid so happy like he is now in his whole life. And that really gave it to me here. And but when I went outside, I bawled like a baby.
And they were big fans, I'm sure, of the Bushwhackers.
Oh yes. This kid was only about 7, bald as hell, bald, so many operations on his head, taking out cancer.
Yeah, I mean that's a very touching moment when you're having that opportunity.
He died about a month later. So we gave him some big joy. You know what I mean? They told us, they called us up and said, the kid that you gave the most joy to has just died. Fucking that got me too. It's getting to me now.
Well, when you go do these events, like the Make-A-Wishes, what would you say has been your favorite part about being able to have these memories with them?
Now, I guess going there for a start, because you're going to make these kids happy. And a lot of them, they're really down, fuck. A lot of them have that Down syndrome too, you know what I mean? Sad. It's very sad, mate. Just going to them and seeing them all in a room, bed after bed. It's, you walk around and the parents are there and, everyone is, well, the parents are trying to make them happy, but a lot of them, the parents are dead too because they're looking at their kid and thinking, God, how long is he going to live for? It's really a sad situation, mate.
Yeah.
And it's a deep sadness.
But you're out there making a difference.
Yes, we're out there trying to give them some light, give them some light in their life.
Yeah. And that's what it's about, really. Kindness and joy it goes a long way. It really does. You just never know.
You wish you could give them more, but what can you give them? You can give them love, happiness, make them laugh for a minute, and that's it.
And you're bringing joy and entertaining them with telling these stories and going to these events to be able to put a smile on their face. And that's what it's about at the end of the day.
When they see us marching, that's when they get the laugh. They march right up to their bed and do the whoa and the yay. That's when they line up.
Yeah. You've had kids that have gone up and done the march and the entrance with you.
You know, a lot of conventions. They have that gimmick at the end. Yeah, the look-alike. What are they called now? Everyone
The cosplays.
cosplays and they have contests. The Bushwhackers have won quite a bit. The two little kids and that dressed up as the Bushwhackers marching around. They usually win the show, you know, with the march and doing the woe and the yay.
Well, it does bring a good feeling when you're going out there making their day, because you know you've done well for yourself,
Yeah,
and
it
you're
feels
able.
good.
Yes.
I used to live in Indian Shores. That's halfway between Clearwater and St. Petersburg. And I used to, when I went out, when I had my 3 days off on the road and that, I always went to St. Petersburg. Now I'm in Clearwater. I'm further than Clearwater. I'm in a little town called Dunedin. I'm right behind where the Blue Jays have their spring training stadium. You know the Canadian team, the Blue Jays?
Yeah. Toronto.
Yeah, Toronto. And right behind that, before I was right on the water, and insurance and everything got so high, you know, taxes, insurance. On the water, it's so expensive to live.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy out there, so you got to do what you can.
So I'm way back. I'm 15 miles more, 15 minutes more than Clearwater, you know, right? Clearwater Beach, and from Clearwater to St. Petersburg, 45 miles an hour. That's why I don't drive. I guess that's why I stopped driving to Make-A-Wish.
But when you go do these conventions and when you go see the fans, it has to feel good knowing that these people still care about you all these years later.
Yes, I'm lucky. I'm lucky that I remember. I was really pissed off when Vince stopped using us pre Royal Rumble. He used me, the one that I was marching to the ring. Earthquake grabbed me, put me out on the other side, and I marched back. That 4 second, the 4 second one.
That's right. Yeah.
They played that from 91 to 218, and then I stopped playing it, and I was pissed off then when I stopped playing it, mate. Yeah,
you had like,
everyone used to say to me, "I saw you on television."
You had like the shortest. You held the record for a while, for a period of time, as like the shortest entry into the Royal Rumble.
And then Santino Morelli had it. But then Warlord came in, stood up, got clothesline right out, and he was a second.
Did they ever tell you that was going to happen? That you were only going to be in the Rumble for just a short amount of time?
Oh yes, that was all. That was all planned. You know, the guy that came up with the Royal Rumble was Pat Patterson.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he came up with that for me in the ring then. March in, Earthquake grab you straight out the other side.
Wow.
Keep marching.
Yeah. It's frustrating, I'd imagine, to have such a short amount of time in the Rumble, but we wouldn't be sitting here talking about it today all these years later.
It's not frustrating to me. It was one of the greatest things I did because it kept me in the limelight for so long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because my point is, like, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about it today if it wasn't if it didn't happen.
Yeah, Jesse Ventura used to call us the marching morons.
Yeah, good memories.
Bobby Heenan, you know, Gorilla Monsoon, they were the best.
They were. They definitely were.
What a
Great
team,
duo.
huh? What a team they were.
Yes. Absolutely were.
Yeah, it's great. And memories, a lot of little memories I had from different things that happened, but that one, that one was the in and out focus that kept me in the limelight. People would stop me on the street. I just saw you on television, stop me, and I still get stopped in airports and places. Oh no, yeah, in my restaurant, I look after a restaurant, and then on the beach, they say to me, which was the guy that went in and out the ring and marched back to the dressing room. I still get answered that today.
That's great. That's so cool, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so cool to know people remember that.
Yeah. It does. It warms your heart when you have people that come up to you and say these positive things and have these memories. So, Luke, I want to say thank you for coming on to Wrestling with Heart. It means a lot to me and to my listeners and viewers that are watching this on YouTube. Where can people find out more about you? If you have anything you want to plug or promote, feel free.
One thing I'm going to say, mate, yes, I do want to promote. One of my businesses is Ironhead Sups, Ironhead Supplements, but it's ironheadsups.com. It's a new company developing pre-workout, post-workout, protein, BCAAs, everything. And we're getting good write-ups from bodybuilders for our pre-workout stuff and our protein. We're getting really good write-ups from names in bodybuilding.
Oh, that's very impressive.
Yeah. Ironhead Sups. Ironhead is spelled IRONHEADZ. Sups.com.
All right.
And another places where I look after is Panfilo's Beach Bar and Grill on Clearwater Beach. PANFILOS Beach Bar and Grill on Clearwater Beach. We're open till 3 a.m., serving food till 2:30 a.m. The large place on the beach where you can grab a cocktail and something to eat.
All right. I think I'll go make a stop there sometime.
Clearwater Beach.
Yes. Well, Luke, thanks again so much, and you're more than welcome to come back.
Yes, and one thing I forgot. Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Yes.
Is Bushwhacker Luke, and my head is on the world, the globe. There's a globe with my head on it.
Okay.
That's me. For any of my places, you'll see that, and you'll see the restaurant and the supplements.
All right, there you go. Thanks again so much.
A pleasure being on your show, mate.
And remember, guys, if you're interested, let's get the book back on the screen right here if you can see it. Champions for a Cause, Volume 1. It's a collection of interviews with some of your favorite wrestling personalities like Mark Marrow, Jake the Snake Roberts, Tito Santana, and many others. So grab your copy now on Amazon for $15. Do not want to regret it. I'm Stanley Carr, and I will see you next time.
This is Wrestling with Heart. I hope you found this podcast to be informative and entertaining. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and look out for the next edition.